call the center of this spin the origin, around the origin. So we're going to rotate it around the origin. And around the origin have, if you're ever spinning around the origin, you have several shortcuts. If you want a 90 degree turn, which is, we consider counterclockwise being a positive turn and clockwise being a negative turn. So this would be a counterclockwise, positive 90 degree turn. You simply take the coordinates and you switch the order to negative yx. So you switch the order and you switch the sign of the first one. So if we're going to do a 90 degree counterclockwise turn with this, just to show you, it's in quadrant 1 right now. If I actually did a turn with the paper, you'll see what it would look like. It'll now be in quadrant 2, and it'll be pointed a different direction. So this is what it's going to look like when we're done graphing it. This is how to actually do it. So, once again, for a 90 degree counterclockwise, you switch the order. So I'm going to change it to 4, 0, and you switch the sign of the y. So negative 4, 0. Point A will now be at negative 4, 0. So A prime is right there. Let me do that exact same thing. I switch the order, switch the sign of the y. So now that B will be at negative 2, positive 3. There's B prime. Change C. Remember, I change the order. Go to the opposite of the y. Negative 2, 5. Negative 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there is C prime. Switch the order. Switch the y. The sign of the y, excuse me. So I have it negative 4, 6. Negative 4, positive 6. And there's D prime. If I connect those, you have that same trapezoid that has been spun 90 degrees. So take a look at this. Once again, if I spun it, that's what you would be looking at in quadrant 2. There's a 90 degree counterclockwise turn, or a positive 90 degree turn. I'm going to do one more with that same thing. I'll go back to the original blue one, and I'm going to go to a 180 degree. And it doesn't really matter on a 180 degree whether it's counterclockwise or clockwise, you'll go the same thing. By the way, there are rules for 180 degree also. Opposite of x, opposite of y. So all I have to do is go to the opposite. So that'd be 0. The opposite of 0 is still 0. Negative 4. Opposite, opposite. Negative 3, negative 2. Notice I'm not changing the order. Negative 5, negative 2. And negative 6, negative 4. If I graph those at 0, negative 1, 2, 3, 4 for A prime. Negative 3, negative 2, 1, 2, 3, negative 2 would be B prime. Negative 5, negative 2 would be C prime. And negative 6, negative 4 would be D prime. If you connect the dots, once again, that's what it will look like after a 180 degree. And I'll show you that again. Hold down the origin where we're spinning it. If you spun it 90 degrees, 180 degrees, there it is, which is exactly what ours looks like right down here as a changed image. There is a rule also for a 270 degree, or the same thing as a negative 90 degree, which would make it back to a clockwise, and that is y opposite x. Y opposite x. Do another one where we spin around a point other than the origin. So now we can't use those quick little rules. It becomes a little bit more difficult. So we're going to spin this around point A. So point A is at 2, negative 7. What we're really going to do is we're going to subtract that point from all these points. In other words, we're going to basically reorient A to be up here at 0, 0, and then we'll take it out later. So the first thing you want to do is you want to subtract 2, negative 7 from all these points. So if you subtract 2 and you subtract negative 7, that becomes 0, 0. That's the reorientation like we're talking about. Subtract 2 and subtract negative 7, which is of course plus 7, you'd be at 2, 6. And then 10, negative 2, I'm going to subtract 2. Subtract negative 7, which is plus 7, I'd be at 8, 5. So those are my kind of in the middle of process points. And now what we need to do is actually follow our rules. So we need to figure out what do we want to do, a 90 degree clockwise rotation. Let's just do a 180. Those are pretty easy. No, let's do a 90 degree. We can't go 180. C will be off this graph. So we'll do a 90 degree counterclockwise rotation, which remember is opposite of y, opposite of x. Remember, here, that's going to then become 0, 0. Doesn't convert that one. When I go opposite of y, x, that becomes negative 6, 2. Go opposite of y, x, becomes negative 5, 8. Now remember, we subtracted this point from all of those, so now that we've done our rotation, we need to add it back on. So I'm going to be adding 2 and adding negative 7, which, look, this is a good one to show it to you with, right? Since we're going off this point, it will get me right back to the original spot. So this point is going to stay put because that's what we're spinning it around on. When I add 2 here, I get negative 4. And when I add negative 7 here, I get negative 5. When I add 2 here, I get negative 3. When I add